before I let you go, I have, you know, in general, it seems like it's obvious to say that every, but maybe you know some actual facts that you can cite about how fitness makes a difference to your happiness, to your productivity, to probably generally achieving your goals, whatever they are. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Oh, absolutely. I think that not only, like you said, I believe, and that's another reason why I believe in Prove and Go so much, and why it's been really fun to share this with my coworkers too, and get feedback from them too, as well. That's been really fun. But I see it as a productivity hack, because working out and producing that amount of energy is going to help you show up your best in your work life, in your personal life. And I also think it helps with time management. I think if you're really regulated about, like, hey, this is just something I do, whether it's 30 minutes, whether it's 45 minutes, being able to allot that time, I think allows you to prioritize the right things, and it helps with overall discipline. And I know for me that if I go a few days without working out, I don't feel the same. And I think I'm probably less enjoyable to be around, not just to myself. But I do think that it helps. I think it helps with overall confidence. I think it helps how you just show up in work in general. And if we're talking from a scientific standpoint, it's just your body is going to function better if you're treating it better. So that goes in from just daily movement to what you're fueling your body with, and also with sleep. And daily movement is going to help those things as well. It's going to allow your body to actually function better throughout the day. It's going to help with your sleep and all of that. So I think that it's interesting, because I do think it can be hard when you are very passionate and driven about your career or whatever it is your work is going, and you're like, well, I don't have time for that. But it's about making time for that, because it's actually going to help this other thing that you're really trying to do well with. And I think that also, I think a lot of people think you need to go 0 to 100. Like, if you're struggling to get one workout in a week and you're like, okay, I have this goal to do 6 workouts this week. It's like, maybe let's start with 2 days in the gym and going on more walks. I think walking is so underrated, because especially when I know for me, I remember that was a real big reality check when I started my first data analytics job, and I'm tracking my steps and stuff on my Oura Ring. And I think I got like 800 steps one day. I was like, oh no, I was like, this is not good, because I was so I still worked out that day, but I wasn't moving. I was just sitting in my chair. And so I think being really diligent about, not necessarily that you need to carve out all this time for whether it's the gym or more walks throughout the day, but you can take the stairs instead of the elevator. If you have, Zoom meetings that you can pop onto and be on a walk, if you can take one-on-ones with your manager outside and go walking, like, those are just little things that don't seem like they're a huge game changer. But if you think about the entirety of a year and just going on a 10-20 minute walk throughout the day and taking the stairs, how that adds up so much over time. I just think that's huge. And I think especially in the tech space, I think it's not looked at enough as a beneficial piece to your career, and that it actually can help you be a better data engineer or data analyst or whatever your role is.
Great. Well said. And then, something that you kind of that you alluded to there. And then I'm wondering, you have studied sports data for a long time. Obviously, now
Mhm.
you're a professional data analyst, data engineer. You're probably still studying a lot of data on yourself and your fitness. For me personally, something that I've struggled with, it's kind of similar to what you said there, where, somebody, they're working on 1 day a week and they're thinking, I want to work out 6 days a week. I have a tendency to overtrain for where I'm
Mm.
at. I kind of think
Yeah.
there are people that I see at the CrossFit gym who are doing 2 hours of intense workouts 5, 6 days a week, sometimes even 7.
Yeah.
And I see them doing that, and I try to do it for a week. And I then end up spending, too much of my day just like lying on the couch or lying in bed, just
Yes.
being like, "Oh no, what did I do to myself
Yeah.
today?" Like I had things to do and now I'm just too tired. Like I'm too tired to sit at my desk.
Yes. Oh,
And
yeah.
then too tired to focus. So, you know, is there, maybe ideally, is there some kind of data that I could be looking at? I know, with maybe like a Whoop or a Ring, general advice, or, is there maybe just some kind of rule of thumb or guidance that you have for people who tend to overdo it like me?
Yeah, I would say, and that's the thing too. I think one, it's checking in with what's the goal as far as, how many workouts you're trying to get into, what those workouts look like, how long are they? And then if, let's say that is the goal to get 5 workouts in, really high intensity, and also knowing that throughout the week, it's probably good to maybe pick 1 or 2 workouts a week that you're just going to go full send at, because doing that every day just isn't going to be sustainable. But like letting yourself, and I kind of go off of just how I'm feeling that day. If I'm feeling like, oh, I got so much good sleep, stress levels are good, and I'm feeling great, I'm like, okay, today's the day I'm going to push it. But then having the wherewithal to kind of check in and be like, okay, I didn't get much sleep last night. And I personally love checking that. Like every morning I'm opening up the app and being like, I got my readiness score and my sleep score, and which I really like. And sometimes, you have to take that with a grain of salt, because sometimes it'll be like, hey, you should just stay in bed all day today. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that. And I can't do that. but I think checking in with how you're feeling and taking it slow, like having a progression to the intensity or the amount of volume you're trying to do. I also think finding a program that makes sense for your schedule and your life. Because I think it's really easy to, like you said, get caught up in, well, someone else is doing something, or I saw this thing on Instagram and that looks really cool, but they may not have the same schedule with you as you, or like it's demanding in a different way. And so I think one, making sure the goals are set as far as like, what am I trying to do with my fitness? And that doesn't have to mean like, oh, I want to back squat this much weight and all of that stuff. It can just mean I want to feel good, I want to look good, and I want to enjoy my training. Like those can be goals. And so I think it's really about setting realistic expectations. And if you're trying to get somewhere and you know that the gap between, where you're at and where you're trying to go is maybe a little bit larger, having a solid progression to that. And like you said, not jumping into the deep end right away. Because that's the thing too. Like you want something that, I really believe that when it comes to whether it's nutrition, your health, consistency is everything, right? You're not going to get really fit or really in shape out of 1 week of working out. It's many, many days of making good, healthy choices. And that doesn't mean perfect. It means roughly 80% of the time, you're making these choices that are going to lead you to an overall healthier, happier life. So I think that's the biggest thing, is finding something that's actually sustainable, with also allowing you, like you're saying, if that's something that you enjoy, as far as like going into a CrossFit gym and like throwing down with your friends. Like I know for me, I'm like, if I did that during the week, I would be a pile of mush at work. My brain would not function. It would not be good. But I know on like a Saturday morning, okay, I'm not working on Saturday. So I have the luxury of like laying around a little more. So I'm going to send it a little bit, So like just kind of holistically looking at what your schedule likes, what your goals are, and then finding something that's sustainable, so you don't feel like you're doing kind of a yo-yo thing, whether it's in the gym or with your nutrition.